Hello there everybody, my name is Lawrence Tam. Most of the time my parents are not able to pronounce my name correctly, so typically they'll call Lawlen. Being a street photographer and a healthcare professional, I felt that my job kind of helped me appreciate the human touch of my genre a little bit more. I see people passing on a regular basis. I think the most important thing is to continue to shoot something that you really like and believe in. This is a low pro protected 350 Mark II. Then for my camera itself, right, it's the Sony a7R3, which is right here. So my go-to lens is 1635 f2.8. Other than this, right, I own another lens which is the 70-200 2.8 G Master as well. So these are my go-to two lenses. So most of the time, I'll use the 1635, which is on my camera most of the time. So only on very rare occasions, I'll even bring out the 70-200. Well, most times, let's say if I have a certain shot in mind where I require compression. So like every festive season when you really have a lot of crowds, you want to bring everything in, and sometimes when I do landscapes, I use a telephoto lens as well. Yes, definitely. I had this bag for quite a while, back then when they had the Mark I. So the reason why I got this bag is because the backpack itself in the compartment, as you can see, is customizable. So you can put different slots in, then you can customize what kind of gear you want to bring in, and then it will fit quite snugly. So it kind of protects you from all the bumps and all the drops, let's say if there's any. And other than that, the top is hard shell, and all over here you can feel, if you can feel it, right, it's actually pretty hard. So when I bought the first Mark I out overseas to places like London and Paris, right, I feel a little bit more safer because all I need to do is just cable tie the side access, and then this bag offers protection in a way that the only access I have to my gear is just right here. So when I move out on the streets, I don't really need to worry about the risk of getting pickpocketed. They need to evaluate what kind of gear they're having, and then then the budget as well. But I think the most important thing is how much they're willing to spend. Because different bags, of course, carry different prices. So they need to keep these two things into consideration, and also how often are they going to bring their gear out. Because certain bags like this is not really ideal for commuting to school or even work. So you need to think about are they going to put other things such as a jacket, laptop, stuff like that. Then you can re-decide again. But of course there are different camera bags, such as even low pro or peak design, that have a lot of variations. I shifted from another brand and I moved to Sony specifically, mostly for their autofocus. Being a street photographer, I felt that fast and reliable AF is something that's really essential to me. So back then when the camera came out, I felt that this was one of my top choices to get. More specifically, this is the Sony a7R3. So it carries a 42 megapixel sensor. And being a mirrorless camera as well, it allows me to crop in a little bit more in camera, and then I will still not lose any resolution. Not really, unless you're doing large prints works. But then again, having my a7R3 really allows me to have a safety line to fall back on in case I really need to do really tight cropping. So the added assurance there, I think, is something that is really something that I did consider back then. The 2470 is definitely something that it's a very versatile lens to have. I mean, so let's say if you need to go out and shoot and then you only can bring one lens. So the 2470 zoom lens definitely is something that someone can really consider, be it f2.8 or f4. So at 24, most of the time it's really good enough for you to get a lot of typical wide landscape shots. And then zooming into 70 gives you the very nice compression as well. So the filters I have on my lens is just a UV filter, just to protect my front element. Because being on the street, sometimes I can get a little bit rough and then careless with my lenses, so it's just for added protection only. They need to get something that's within their budget, yet at the same time look long term. So fortunately, a lot of the camera and lenses nowadays, even entry level, are really good enough to shoot for multiple genres. You have low light capability, you have fast autofocus, and then the image quality is really decent almost across all range. So with that said, I think they just need to get something they are able to afford and then not break the bank. To a certain extent, yes. Personally, I feel that you need something that's really reliable. So you can't have something that it lose the autofocus at a very crucial moment. So as much as skills is really important, your gear also needs to keep up with what you're doing.